Hi, everybody. This is Andrew Perlin, and welcome to another edition of Insurance Explained. Let me ask you a question. Imagine your phone rings, and it's your mom, or maybe it's your dad, right? And you find out that one of them's fallen. Or maybe they've been diagnosed with something that's going to require more help than they can manage on their own. In that instant, your family's world changes. Suddenly, everyone is asking questions nobody is prepared to answer. Who's going to help? Can they stay at home? Who's going to take time off of work? How are we going to pay for all this? And perhaps the biggest question, what happens now? Most families don't have answers to these questions, not because they don't love their parents, but because they believe a handful of misconceptions about what aging or what elderly parents are going through or what long-term care looks like. Today, I want to walk you through the five biggest misconceptions that most people have regarding long-term care. And when I say long-term care, I want to be clear. It's not so much the care itself, it's how to give your parents or the elderly in your lives a way to age and convalesce with dignity. So here are the biggest long-term care misconceptions that I come across as an insurance agent. Number one, long-term care means a nursing home. That's not exactly where most long-term care begins. It usually starts more quieter, helping mom or dad get dressed, helping them go to the doctor, preparing meals, managing medication. Maybe someone comes into the home a couple hours a day just to help out. Long-term care isn't defined by where it happens. It's defined by the fact that someone now needs ongoing help. And it can start off really small, and as their health gets worse, they have a bigger need for this care. And the next thing you know, you're like, oh my goodness, they need more than what I can provide. The next misconception is if I keep them at home, my life will be a lot easier as the caregiver. That's a huge misconception. Okay, home sounds comforting. It's where everybody wants to be. If I had a choice to be in a nursing home or my home, I would take my home 10 times out of 10. It sounds less expensive. It sounds simple, but often care at home means someone else becomes the caregiver. A husband, a wife, a son, or a daughter, someone who's already working full time, usually, someone who's raising a child or children, someone trying to prepare for retirement for themselves. Home doesn't eliminate the burden. Sometimes it simply moves the burden onto the family. The third misconception that we hear all the time is my family will just take care of me. I'm getting older. I have 5 kids. One of my kids will take care of me. And of course they will. They love you. I love my parents. You love your parents. Of course they will take care of you. That's not the question. The question is, can they take care of you? Can they leave work early to take you to a doctor's appointment? Can they afford to work the lesser hours? Will their employer get upset if they do that? Can they physically provide care? Can they hold you and carry you and move you if that's the kind of care that you need? I remember when my dad was going through his long-term care needs, he weighed a lot, 200 pounds. That's a lot of dead weight to move. Can you do that without hurting yourself? Can you juggle your own family while caring for your parents? Love doesn't make caregiving easy. This isn't a theory for me. This isn't just years talking to people who needed this help. I went through this. In a prior episode, we talked about it. Fortunately, my parents planned ahead. That planning gave our family something priceless. It gave us choices. We weren't scrambling all over who had to quit work, who had to do this, who had to do that. We were able to provide care for both my parents, whether it was in home or in facility, without disrupting our lives. We weren't arguing over who's going to pay for it because we already had the plan in place. We weren't forced to become the care plan. Instead, we got to spend our times just being sons and daughters to our parents. That's a gift that most people don't appreciate until they're living through it. The fourth misconception, it only affects people receiving care. It doesn't. It changes an entire family. Schedules change, vacations disappear, retirement plans get delayed, marriages experience stress, adult children suddenly become caregivers. One health event has a ripple effect through multiple generations. And finally, the last misconception is I've got plenty of time. Most people don't wait because they don't care. They wait because they think there's always another year, another birthday, another opportunity. But planning for long-term care is one of those decisions that often has to happen before you need it. Once your health changes, the options become very limited. I'm going to tell you again from experience, both my parents were on long-term care before they passed, and it had a tremendous effect on our family. I said it before, one decision affected three generations of wealth. It affected three generations of health. My brother and sisters and I didn't have to worry necessarily about who was going to pay for this. Yes, we had some things that we had to take care of. We had to be there for mom. We had to get her here and there, and I get that. And that was difficult enough as it was. But we did not always have to be there to cook her food, to get her in and out of bed, to bathe her, to clothe her. We didn't have to do that because this insurance policy that my parents had the foresight to buy provided them with enough money, enough resources that my brothers, sisters, and I did not have to spend hours to make sure that our parents had the dignity that they needed in their most dire time. So, in closing, long term care really isn't about getting older. It's about protecting your dignity, protecting your independence, and protecting the people you love from having to choose between caring for you and living their lives. That's why planning matters. Not because we expect the worst, but because we want to give our families choices if life doesn't always go according to plan. So, if you have any questions at all about long term care insurance, how to go about getting it, when you should get it, or things like that, I definitely think it's a conversation that you should have. This is one of the biggest decisions that you will ever have to make. And very few people, unfortunately, are going from their home to the grave. There's usually a stop along the way, and that stop can last a long time. And if it lasts a long time, it can deplete a lot of assets. Thank you very much for being here, everybody. I really appreciate it. Talk to you later. Bye.